Alright, our drawing templates consist of two items, the sheet format and the document template. So what will show up in here, if I expand that out, notice this has the DRW drawing document template, and it is saved. But if I click on this one, then I get the interface, and once again, if I only show standard formats, I'm going to see the ISO. And if I uncheck that, then we'll see all of those, including the ISO, including all of the other standards. Alright, so I want to modify for this A size sheet, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. Don't really want a document here. If we go to more properties, is that one going to pop up? No? Okay, we'll just X out of that then, and I'll come back over here. I don't see properties in this list, and I don't often delete from here. So I'm going to go to Customize the menu, and turn off Delete, and Activate Properties. So we get out of that. Not sure which one's lagging here. I'm getting my video card is having a pause. All right, so we are in third angle projection. Want to make sure that I'm not in first angle unless I want to be. I can rename the sheet here, or the tab at the bottom left can rename the sheet. And at this point, view labels, those types of things. If I needed to replace this sheet format, I made a modification, wanted to pull in another style or another sheet size, I could do that from the properties. All right, so I don't need to change anything here. And what we're working on is there's a sheet format tab now. So that helps a little bit, because if I edit the sheet format from here, I will see the confirmation corner and the stuff show up in blue, and any views that I put in will not be visible. They'll might have the boxes and the kind of the hidden lines around it, but it's not accessible. So let's get out of that for a second. I can right click, edit sheet format from the context, and then right sheet, edit sheet format from the feature, from the manager tree. Alright, so we edit the sheet format. I would like for my filters to be on, so I'm going to hit F5 to turn the filter menu on. I have it placed across the bottom. If we unlock and drag it someplace else, then that will be where it goes. F6 will activate or deactivate, toggle the last one selected. So I would like to activate for the notes and balloons, and we're going to keep all of these until I decide what to do with them. Notice a bunch of these blank ones pop up because those would be entered. And we'll just pull all of that out. And then I want to toggle my selection off, so F6, and down here in the corner, the little funnel and my icon with a little funnel both go away. Alright, so for an A-size sheet, this I like to go back to just a general form. And as long as the information is in place, then it really shouldn't matter so much that it's in that layout. All right, so you get to decide what you want this to look like. I've done ones that were on the side. I've done templates mostly across the bottom. So if we, let's see what format looks like. Okay, we'll bring that one across and horizontal. And that is not picking up, so that means that this was actually created with the title block manager. Interesting. All right, so there is an automatic border function that will allow us to modify, but it treats this as a single item. So a little bit different. Okay, there's my coincident, and there's my coincident. All right, so maybe just catching up on that one. So here's one of the places where when I say don't use the parameters, the exception to the rule is this is a good place to use the parameters. So we're at 1.5 inches. If I'm going to go 2 inches across the bottom, 1.75, line set to horizontal. That takes up a bit of space, but not as much as what the others, all of that was doing. So 1.75 may be a little bit big. So let's go ahead and drop it back to 1.5, and when I hit tab it updates, and OK. And one of the things with fix is fix will fix the lines, and with it being coincident on both ends, that constrains it. If I had any doubts, then I would fix the endpoint. So let's go ahead and fix. That goes to black. Do I need a personal or proprietary and confidential? Maybe not, but we'll start going through these. So if I do a scale, and we can kind of roughly leave these the way that they were generated. So weight, and the sheet 1 of 1, if I click on that, those are all properties. Basically in that note, there we go, get the little pop-up, string PRP, Solidworks current sheet of total sheets. All right, string PRP, those are going to be the files. All right, the description, I would like that to be a little bit smaller, so if I double click on it, and we go from 24 point to say 16 point. And we can click out, escape, and we can drag and drop. All right, so basically I'll go through, and the drawing number, let's see, we have a title, and the issue is that if the title text gets longer then we're going to run out of title block pretty quick. All right, and what I'm looking for there is, let's see if it'll, there we go, and it's centered, so let's go left justification. And then we want to move it over, so it's going to take a few little tweaks here. And if it runs over, we'll just run out of space. So the drawing number then can go in here. And usually I change that to file name because that should be, if I hover over it, my SOLIDWORKS file name. So if there's a drawing number, then we would want to put in part number. All right, so again, minor details. Let's go file name. If I can type. And draw one. And that one's going to the description. So if I haven't included a description, we don't really get anything there. So let's go ahead and put in. And where is my annotations? So we'll go to the annotations, go back to note, and can type in the part number. Okay, so we'll abbreviate that so it's at least a little more consistent. Oh, need to Control A to grab everything in that window. And then escape. It's going to keep putting in annotations until we stop. So with the file name and the description, yeah, actually those ought to be reversed. So we're going to do a little more tweaking here on this guy. So we'll bring in another note, and we want the slightly larger text. Now I don't have the properties available, at least I don't think so. So model found here, well, there isn't really a model found here, but we do have the list. So let's go, if we go to the file properties, custom, nope, not getting any of those, and I haven't tied anything in my custom properties to the drawn. So we could have a drawn by for the model, and then detailed by or drawn by for this. So since I haven't brought anything in with those files, then that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So maybe this will be one that I add to the mix, and we'll move on with our simple sheet format. All right, so format was, and I want to move that down a little bit. So with it active, see if it's going to let me. That looks like the resize, and escape to get out of it. And if that one's going to be so we have a file name and we have a drawing name. So actually, I think I will just take that one and we'll delete the description, because I can illustrate the file properties. Current document is the drawing, and then it's going to be the file name of this, and we don't have the part, so those end up being the same. If I do the model found here and file name, okay, we can do that much. Okay, that got a little big. So that's not surprising, but let's go with, I think I went to 16 point, click out of that, and that becomes kind of the issue without something in there as a placeholder, that it's going to be a little bit bigger. So the part number was kind of in there. Yeah, I think we'll just put the part number and see if we can grab that guy. Now, probably going to need to move it. All right, so a lot of little adjustments needed for getting these set up. All right, so we'll make those, and if they jump out, I can window pick and grab those as a group. And if I put the rev, and that's one of those hidden boxes for the revision, and I grabbed it again. No, it's still going to do just the one. Trying to get both of them. Alright, since it doesn't want to do both of them like it did. I know you're there. No, it won't let me have that one. Alright, interesting. I know you're there somewhere still. Alright, so we'll grab it at the center of the annotation box, and then I need to zoom up because it's trying to snap to other things. Let's see, there's nothing in there, so let's just pick the revision. I haven't set a revision, so again we need the model, or I need to put that in manually. Interpret per, so let's make that as a group. Put these guys in and place, and not really going to do that, so we can delete those. Again, the proprietary and confidential, and then our drawn bys and all of the checked. There we go. And pick on the item. All right, so I'll probably spend another half hour going through and fine-tuning. If I want to add the tolerances, plus or minus fractional is a 32nd. 2 decimal place, plus or minus 10 thousandths. 20 thousandths, let's be generous. Our standard for 3 decimal place, 5 thousandths. And if I want 4 decimal place, we can do 1,000th, because anything that needs to be tighter than that, I will probably do as a in the dimension and manage it that way. So we would adjust the sizes with the fonts, and we're going to do ASME Y 14.5 and 2018. Okay, so get the idea. Let's go on to the rest. I get out of the sheet format. Now none of this is selectable. We have room for a larger title, room for a larger file name. So this would be the drawing name, the file name, part number, any other information, the rev, and we'll kind of build into those. I'll adjust that for size, put in the checked, which checked by or approved bys. And all right, well, so let's go ahead and do a file save as, save sheet format. Let's see, one of those was going to be title, the title page. So when we do the simple version, I want to do that before I set the part. Oh, I still need to be in the sheet format, so let's get back in that, and then that should give me title block fields. All right, so a text field, we're going to select the ones that we want to be able to adjust, and then the part number. So if you wanted to do the drawn by, the titles, any of these, we could go through and generate the table. So the check is that when I hover over this, I can enter the values in the highlighted field. So I would go through and let's do that one more time. Edit sheet format, and the title block fields are all going to be, so there is my screen, or my selection area. So I would not be looking at. That one goes tooltip revision, so that's good. That got kind of big. Let's see, the finish, we can add, that one gets the finish. Alright, so those are tied fairly well. And when I accept, and double click, then it's going to show me where those are and where has not been placed yet. All right, so I was looking for the model at that point. All right, so we tinker with this a little bit more. We go in, and first thing we do is save the sheet format. Now, one of the things I did want to check, since I'm jumping around here, is back over on, because we're in a drawing now, we have the ability to set fonts, so, layers. And the detailing, we want center marks on holes, center marks on assemblies, annotations, fonts, and per the default. So we'll spend a little bit more time on the layers by themselves. Center lines and center marks for the layer. drawing sheets. So I haven't created a drawing, a different sheet format yet. So I'm going to say that that document property travels with the document template. So File, Save Sheet Format, and this is putting it into my default sheet format locations. And the easiest is my A landscape. And it gets saved. If I go to Properties now, at the very bottom of that list, I should see my A landscape. And to save as the document template, so let's do a save as the drawing template, and it goes to Solidworks templates, and this is going to be drawing. I'm in inch. Okay, something along those lines. Usually try to have it a little closer to, yeah, we just need to do that then. A landscape, I want to try to stay consistent. A landscape, and this is going to be an inch. We can change it to metric, but that gives us a little bit more to work from. So the check then is this is still a DRW DOT. We close it. I go to New. I go to my templates because we want to preserve the tutorial as the, if I manage to mess everything up, then we'll be able to adjust. And still don't have a model, but I can edit there. All right, and at this point, if I do another sheet, well, let's just double check real quick. If I go to, this is the one that gave me problems a couple years ago when I did this group, is the 2019. So that one's still not set. So if I use a different sheet format and browse, we should be able to browse to my landscape and open and OK. And I'm going to have to save this document template again after I do this, but we're going to do this several times to add the different items. Okay, so there was another one I wanted to check real quick. We haven't made any layers, so if I right click and go to toolbars, then let's see, if the task pane gets turned off, that one's there. The view heads up is our across the bottom if that one gets turned off. And I said I was looking for layers. Alright, so I want to create a couple of layers. So dimension layer is usually the first, so whatever you want to call it, dims. And pick a color. And then I want center, so center lines and center marks are fine. And something kind of bright. We can do, been doing a hatch layer lately, so that one's been kind of in a dark green. If we wanted to do one for notes, any of those, then we would be able to pull those in. Alright, and then in per standard, that's the one that I want to save with the document template. And back in the options then, I'll set as the standard for the dimensions. Over here somewhere we have the font. That all looks good. Actually, we have to go through all of these and set each one individually. So dims, now this is what it's going to reference to as the standard. So angular and arc length. I'm going to go through each one of these. Okay, I might skip a few so we can move this along. Linear is going to be dims. Ordinance will be dims. Radius, dims. All right, and then we'll come down to center lines and center marks. Can be center and center. Let's see what else. The annotations. There was notes, tables, views. detail and section. I think the hatch showed up in the section, so I'll put that one there temporarily. And these fonts are usually a little weird when we start sectioning, so that's another one that I'll put on my to-do list. All right, so one more. File, save as. The drawing template. Overwrite my existing. Want to close it. And then do new, and it's going to be just kind of this constant go through and set these items as I go. So the test for my new sheet is when I add a new sheet, do I get the same sheet format, or does it revert back to the default A landscape? All right, so since I got the new sheet, I really don't want two sheets in my document template, so I can go back and maybe you can't do it from there. All right, so we'll have delete from that one. And yes, I don't want to accidentally delete, so I'm limiting where that is showing up and what it can do. All right, so I'm going to go through and fine-tune this a little bit. Probably don't want to listen to me for 15 or 20 minutes, just going through and moving those around.